just be a show of hands, because this has gone long tonight. Could you please raise your hand if you believe that a constitutional republic is a form of democracy? Hands. Stop. Okay. Thank you so much. Could you please raise your hand if elected government officials, if you believe that elected government officials in a constitutional republic represent the people?
Say that again.
Could you raise your hand if elected government officials represent people in a constitutional republic? Wonderful. So just to be clear, Jimmy and Nick, you did not raise your hand when I asked if you believe that a constitutional republic was a form of democracy. That's interesting. Okay, could you please raise your hand if you believe that unelected private party officials represent people in the same format as elected government officials, a la a constitutional republic?
They weren't elected.
Yeah. They weren't elected. They can't. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. All right. They're not public officials. Yeah. Okay. Could you and anybody else in this room, feel free, raise your hand. Sonny Perdue was the first Republican governor in Georgia since the Reconstruction. Big deal. Could you raise your hand if you voted for Sonny Perdue?
I worked with this campaign.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes, because I did not want this flag right here.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't want the
I
flag.
did not want it.
The state's flag. You didn't want it in the room. Oh, I see what you're saying. You didn't want it because you knew that Sonny Perdue. Yeah. Sonny Perdue was elected as a Democrat, and in 1998 switched his party to Republican, and then stayed for how long? Long time, right? What is he now? He's the head of the Board of Regents, right, of the school system. Do you believe that Sonny Perdue should never have been a Republican? Yes or no?
To be honest, I'm not real familiar with Sonny.
Okay, that's fine.
But let me just say this.
No, it was just a yes or no. No, it's just a yes or no. It's my question, Jimmy.
If he changed and embraced Republican values, that's the key.
So if he changes and brings Republican values, that's the key.
Embraces them.
Oh, embraces them. I see.
Sonny Perdue told me that he didn't like the Storms flag either,
Yeah.
so he fixed it.
Okay.
Anybody know that history?
A lot of history tonight.
I told me just to raise
Okay. All right. Cool. So just again, I want to just end with the first question I started with, just to double check, because I know you at least are running in my district, and you are running for chair, which I live in the county. So just to triple check here. You, Jimmy, and you, Nick Ware, do not believe that a constitutional republic is a form of democracy. Is that correct? Yes or no?
I'm going to answer this time. It is a republic that uses a democratic process.
Thanks, Nick.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Kingdom Lum, Small Town Underground. Thank you for joining us this Friday evening. We're going to get started here in just a second. This is our reschedule from the Candidate Monday nights live streams we're doing. We're doing this one on Friday. My fault. I had to cancel out, and so Nick was gracious enough to come with us here tonight. So let's show them some love. Let's subscribe. Let's share this around. Let's get it out there, especially to our folks in Catoosa County, so they can have some information. What you just saw was his channel, CSI, Citizen Sharing Information. He does a lot of videoing around Catoosa County and keeping up with everything that's going on. Before we get started, if you don't already know, we're going to have the civil safety training tomorrow in Somerville, Georgia. It's from 11 a.m. to I think 6 p.m. There's going to be a lot of people there, a lot of law enforcement there, a lot of things you can get into. Yours truly will be there at some point during the day, and then we'll be out there just having a good time. Come out and hang out with us, get some knowledge, meet some people that are running for office. Blake Ellsbury has a fundraiser coming up on Saturday, April the 13th. We're going to be rolling all this stuff out in the next couple of weeks, so you can make plans to come out and meet your Commissioner Blake Ellsbury. And there's going to be a huge, huge fundraiser coming up on April 20th that I've talked several times about, and we'll make sure to share it in depth coming up next week. So, with me tonight on this Friday evening is Mr. Nick Ware. Nick Ware, how you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thank you for having me, Roy.
Yes, sir. It's good to see you, man.
Yeah.
We've known each other for a little while, and we've worked a couple things back in here and there, and in the 2A stuff. So,
Yeah, Second Amendment. Yeah.
yes, sir. So you are. I want you to tell our audience what you're doing, what you're running for. Give us a little background. Who are you? What are you doing?
Well, I'm Nick Ware. I live in Catoosa County. Running for Catoosa County Commissioner Chair. Married 25 years. Lived in the county for 30, but my family's been settled in Catoosa County in 1838. That's about 15 years before the county was ever a county. We raised our 3 kids there. Youngest is about to graduate, and it's a lovely county. I've traveled all over the country, and there's no place like this. Our surrounding county, Walker County, Catooga, our district is magical. And Catoosa being right there in the northern part there with 75 and the corridor, it's been growing a lot, and in some ways too much.
Right.
A lot of people have actually. I did a poll on my CSI, and a lot of people chose this. The biggest issue is overdevelopment in the poll. So it's a wonderful rural county that's slowly becoming not rural.
Sure.
Yeah, it's becoming a suburb of Chattanooga.
It is, isn't it? It's an interstate town. It was hit hard several years ago by that tornado, and it's just building and growing by leaps and bounds, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been going to the government meetings since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
I've been following them. Me and my wife, we've been recording them and some volunteers from in the county since 2023. I think 2023. And we would really want people to know what's going on in our county.
Right.
We really want to give that transparency and that openness so that people can stay engaged, stay up to date. Our county only records one meeting, and that's the commissioners' meeting, and that's only twice a month. Mm-hmm. And there's so much more information that's needed in being able to see and have transparency within your government.
Sure. No doubt, as we become a society that's more politicized, right? Everything is politicized, kind of polarized by it. If you're going to have to deal with it, then why not deal with it in your own neck of the woods, right? Find out as much transparency as you can about everything that's going on in your county.
Right. And District 2 Commissioner,
okay,
which is Chuck Harris, that's sitting there in the seat with the mic over in the corner.
Okay.
And then you have Jimmy Gray, who is in the seat next to him. That's I think you've got Jimmy coming on your show here in
yeah,
a week or so.
Yeah, Jimmy Gray's going to be on. Mm-hmm.
He is the district. He's running for District 3, and
Okay.
then you've got the gentleman there in the middle. His name is Dennis. I can't remember Dennis's last name. Forrester. Dennis
Okay.
Forrester. And he's running for District 1. And this was the night that I was actually supposed to be on your show.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
I thought, well, this is just a sign from God that I needed to go down.
Well,
and
there you
hang
go.
out with
See,
these
I don't feel
people.
half bad then.
Yeah,
Wow.
right. Yeah.
The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Right. So,
Now, real quick, this is your channel, by the way. So if anybody's interested, especially our Catoosa County people out there,
right, yeah,
this
do a
is
shout out.
CSI on YouTube, and they have a Facebook group. So you would type in C.S.I and Citizen Sharing Information. I typed that in. I found the channel, no problem. Just became a subscriber. So no excuses here, folks.
Yeah.
So this was a town hall.
Town hall meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, that was put on by one of our commissioners.
All right.
It all started with a Facebook post, I think, between him and the guy that's running for Jimmy Gray, that's running for District 3.
Nah.
And it was kind of like a challenge, I guess, in a way of Jimmy challenged him and asking him to do like a Facebook Live, and Chuck says, "Well, how about we just do a town hall?" And he sent Chuck actually sent an invite out to, I think, everyone except for the people that's maybe part of the lawsuit.
Okay.
And that, of course, I said I couldn't come because I was going to do your show, and then wound up showing up just us three, and the questioning, it was kind of odd, but then they kind of wanted to just get our point of view on what was happening in Catoosa County with the GOP.
So it was all about accountability more than anything?
Yeah. And so all three of us, we were accused themselves from the case.
And the March 27th has been canceled. Now we're moving to the Board of Elections, right? April 2nd.
Right. So this is like one of the most interesting things, to see. If you look at our area and see what's happened within our judicial system over the last, 10 or 15 years, you had Tanya Kraft case, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's some other cases that I've seen. I ran into a guy that said that he was in 2014. He was jailed and was jailed for multiple months without bond. And many months without bond. And the Echo Files case, we've also got a book that's
McCracken's
doing, that he did, that's on the Alvin Ridley case.
Sure, and I think for just our viewers' sake, we're not going to tie this whole show up with accountability, but let's go ahead into it and we'll clear the air a little bit. So, it's hard to avoid talking about it, especially when you're in Catoosa County. So, there's a lot of things going on up there, and it seems like that everything is centering around this. So, as you are a candidate that was obviously qualified, and it's a big deal, and I think the courts, to me, I think my personal opinion about how the LMJC is handling it by recusing themselves speaks sort of volumes about how big this is going to get and how polarizing this issue is, when ultimately, like you said, it's a First Amendment issue, it's a freedom of association issue, and we've got a lot of narratives that are running all different sorts of ways here. So, just you can elaborate on it how you want, but I don't want to turn this into a whole accountability issue.
No. See, if I'm elected as commissioner chair, I have to swear an oath to uphold and protect the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of Georgia. And in both of those constitutions, there is a First Amendment that's there for that protection of assembly, protection of speech, protection of religion. And after I've read these cases, I've looked at the case of what was submitted with the Duke case and so on and so forth. I wasn't one to jump to anything. Now, there's some ways that if it would have been, maybe in hindsight, they might say that they would have done this, but I think that with them not, GOP, not calling these individuals and just letting them know, I think that would have been, that's probably one of the things that I disagree with, that they should have called them on that Friday and let them know, hey, we have not qualified you. And then tell them, based on your voting record, your history, or whatever they've done, in that qualification period, or as a representative of the Republican Party in the past, then that's the only thing that I could say that I really
and
thought would have been something that I would have done if I was in that predicament, I guess.
When you look at it as well, when I look at it, trying to keep emotion out of it, the four people that this disqualification happened to were all incumbents with a clear record of what the GOP has been looking at and things like this. So it's not like that they were, in my opinion, abusing any sort of away from just turning people away. This is, I mean, this is freedom of association. They have these issues that they claim in the past. So, it's not like, I don't think this was taken, lightly, this decision. So.
I mean, these are grandmothers and mothers.
Right.
These are people that, they're not some nefarious group like a lot of people say that they are.
Right.
And the crazy thing about it is how people are saying, because I've sat back and I've watched both sides and I've watched how things have unraveled. And I've seen where people have like really kind of said that it's, the secret 16 and they got this label for them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But, the secret ballot, it's funny because in that video, the one gentleman, Chuck Harris, he was saying, the secret ballot. And I was thinking, we're in this voting precinct that, I'm running for this seat that on the next election, there's going to be people that's coming in there that's voting on a secret ballot. We all vote on a secret ballot.
Sure.
And so I don't know where the rub is there with that. And I don't know what their process was as far as a secret. But, I mean, if it was something that, I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's kind of crazy how that they label that.
Sure.
With the secret ballot, the secret
well,
16
it's like I said,
and
it's
stuff.
just narrative being ran, obviously, where they're,
there has been a lot of gaslighting.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of gaslighting in
Mhm.
this, and
Yes.
it's come to something that, you're tuned to something different in this, and you start to, instead of listening to what people are saying, I'm watching the hearts of people. And the hearts of people are turning in this way that's really cold and really this division that's there. And the thing about it is that I've been to the Republican County convention. I've been to the state convention, and they do use same thing, a democratic process, in that of going through elections and electing people for precinct, for the county, for the district, for the state, so they go through the same kind of process as what we do with their normal voting every year that we vote, so it's not something that was any different or any change. And the thing about it is like a lot of people have challenged them in this and said that they're going to do something about it by voting them out of these positions. But I was at the county convention this last Saturday, and I just didn't see anybody there that I haven't seen before. And actually, in that video, there's one lady that stands up that says that they are welcome to come and vote them out. They are welcome to come, bring everyone. And they want them to be a part of the Republican Party,
I'm glad that you said that, because I've had a lot of reservations about, really getting involved in the Republican Party over the past, not because I'm not conservative, but, politically you get involved. But all I hear from our District 14 GOPs is how they want more people involved. They're shooting for transparency. They want bigger crowds, bigger people to pick up and get involved. I see nothing but positivity coming out of a lot of this. And then,
look, it's always a hard issue in any matter. And if you come at someone with an open fist, then a closed fist, then you're not going to get anything. Open your hands, open your eyes, open your heart, open your home.
Right.
Have these invitations that's there to have a sit-down conversation.
Absolutely.
And not go through Facebook in order to be able to make a point or to try to make a smear or to get into this gaslighting so that then that way you can take a snippet of somebody,
I agree.
Because it's just inflaming of people, and that gaslighting, once again,
right.
It's not something that that brings people together.
No.
It's a form of division, a separation,
You
and
know,
a house the house that's not together.
How
It's
many
divided,
people?
can't
How many
stand.
people have won a fight through a Facebook comment?
Oh yeah, I've seen that several times, and it's like crazy. It's like, come on,
It is.
come on. I mean,
especially when not in our locals, but a lot of you go on Twitter or something, you'll be arguing. It's probably like an AI bot that you're arguing
Yeah.
with.
the focus is always about opinions and emotions,
I agree.
and those opinions and emotions don't matter whenever things are knocking on your front door.
That is correct.
It doesn't matter whenever things like, you know what, this past weekend, we had a coronal mass ejection. It was a G3. They go they're just like tornadoes and hurricanes.
Right, solar flares.
That's right. And this was a G3. G5's the highest, right? A G5 is going to put us in the dark.
Sure, that
right?
would mess with our magnetic fields and everything.
And so here's one of the
absolutely.
things. Here's one of the things. Everybody that's in a county right now that's watching this show, it doesn't look like there's many people except Lisa Adams. It looks like, yeah. Anyone that watches this show, what you need to do is you need to contact your commissioner and say, hey, what is our plan of action if a G5 coronal mass ejection happens? What is our plan of action? What's the emergency services going to do when this happens?
I like
What's
that.
that plan?
That's true.
Right?
That's very,
I
very true.
guarantee you, and you might can take this to whatever you're going to tomorrow and ask people there, right?
Sure.
Because I've talked to my sheriff about it, and he understands. Yeah, there needs to be plans. There needs to be something that's in play. And we just went through the SPLOST thing, which I've got a lot of. There was a guy on the video too, if you guys watch the CSI video that I did from the town hall, that started questioning me on this SPLOST, right? Well, the SPLOST, the county sold everyone on the SPLOST based upon emergency services. Well, I pulled the records from 2009, 2014, and 2019. And those records show $176 million in total of 15 years of SPLOST. $176 million. Out of that $176 million, emergency services only received $20 million.
Really?
Yes. So they're selling the people on this. And then I'm thinking, boy, it would be great if we can put in a SPLOST, some kind of thing that's going to help with the preparedness and the plan in order to be able to be prepared for a coronal mass ejection, right?
Sure.
Those emergency services, to where then they can build that up, put some more towers in for communications, which is needed. I mean, whenever that goes down, communications is key. I mean, and if law enforcement, emergency services does not have communication, it's there's nothing that they can do. It's key.
It sounds like to me that you just came up with an idea that would help the people of the county and not some political babble.
Look here. This is something that Teddy Roosevelt. I like Teddy Roosevelt because he says that there's two types of qualities needed for a good citizen. Have qualities that make for efficiencies, and have qualities that direct those efficiencies into public good.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so if you're thinking about the public good, because to me, a coronal mass ejection were to happen, I'm thinking about, not myself, I think I'm pretty much prepared for it, right? I'm thinking about the elderly person that's on some type of a ventilator, that's on some type of oxygen or breathing machine. Those needs that's within our communities, someone with a disability that has, this need for this power. Right. And not having a generator system or something that's there, in which those are expensive for some folks, especially people that are disabled or elderly. They're not out buying generators. But there's a need that they have to have for power. And if that grid goes down, what's the plan?
Right.
And
you're an interstate town too. So
that's
think of
right.
the influx of the cars that would be coming in off the interstate. I mean, there's a lot to think about there.
That's right. That's right.
I don't hear many people talking about this. I like it.
Well, whenever the pandemic happened, is that I contacted my county and I said, what is our pandemic plan? Please send me our pandemic plan. It took a few days and I got it, and it said draft across the front of it. So they were unprepared. And there's so many things that can come at us that if we don't have a full plan, and if we don't have some sort of practice or action and plan, then we're going to be caught in the dark. And literally, if it's a coronal mass ejection, you
Gotcha.
know? So,
Are you a Dane Wigington fan?
I don't know, Dane.
Okay, he runs a YouTube channel and he covers all of these kind of stuff like solar coronal mass injection stuff. He's like the, what do you call him, the weather forecaster of the sun. It's pretty good stuff. I'll have to send you the channel. You might like it.
I'll watch Noah. And
Yeah.
That's about the only thing that I sit and I often will look on and see what the space weather's like. I like to kind of look at things and seeing, okay, well, if this is happening right now, if there's this drought that's happening, if there's these things that's happening,
total solar eclipse.
Like what is it? What is the measure there from space? What's happening in space? What's the weather like in space?
I got you. That's true.
Yeah,
I mean,
because that's a lot of this.
Times we came close to getting completely obliterated by a comet or some kind of asteroid we don't ever know about.
We haven't had one of those in a while. Remember the Hale-Bopp comet?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Oh wow. Watched that thing for like a week.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, it was
crazy.
And back then, whenever when the Hale-Bopp was coming through, there wasn't as much where I live at. We live pretty much in the country, way back, and over in Keith community, and there wasn't much. This all of the city lights. There were. All of
the light pollution.
Light pollution. That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
absolutely.
And man, you could see that Hale-Bopp, and then there was a full moon during that time period, and man, it was great. It was so beautiful, but yeah, it was crazy to see that, and there was some craziness that went on with that. Somebody was going to catch the spaceship and get on the
California. Yeah. There's a few documentaries out there that are pretty wild.
We haven't had none of those in a while.
No. So before we continue on, we'll finish the conversation of the video. So this was a person from, I guess, the head of the Democrat Party asking you these questions. And so let's just go back to that for a minute, because I think he was trying to come up with a gotcha. We got off on the fact that they were turning this into an accountability, and we spoke on that. Mm-hmm. So tell me kind of what you thought this whole little comment was about.
Well, I think that I'm not really for sure. It was kind of weird.
It was kind of
caught off guard. Mm-hmm. I think that it may be something. I mean, because there is going to be a Democrat challenger that's running. So if I win whoever wins, all right, the primary, they will be challenged by a Democrat in November election.
Okay. And
I think that maybe this is just one of those things where, he's casing for information, and that's probably what was that, to kind of just, I don't know.
Well,
I can't really say.
It seems always crazy to me how the Democrat Party can run amok and do whatever that they want to do. They can enact this, they can, follow me if you're not with me, against me, and they do all these things. But then when the Republican Party tries to do something, it's like they don't want to stand in even solidarity and say, well, yeah, this is freedom of speech, and we've done it before, and, this is right. Instead, they want to try to find these angles to continually attack. It's
really weird, because like he was with us with the Battle for Property Rights with the chickens, right?
Good.
Which was I thought was really cool to see the chairperson for the Catoosa County GOP, chairperson for the Catoosa County Democratic Party, coming together and it being something, and it's like. That they both agreed upon. And I thought, wow, this is something that's not seen, and then now it's like everything has turned upside down. There's like this craziness that's going on. I mean, like I have people that are just, everything now is like, what's your opinion on this? It's not like, what is it that you're running for? It's like, what's your opinion on Marjorie Taylor Greene? What's your opinion on Colton Moore? What's your opinion on President Trump? And it's like, what?
I think a lot of it's crafted. It's almost like psychological warfare here, where we're getting more and further away from the truth and what matters to the opinions, the emotionality of it, But
so let me read you this quote, Roy.
Sure.
Ruin looks us in the face if we judge a man by his position. instead of judging his conduct in that position.
Amen.
And that's where we're at. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we're always looking for opinions, always looking for that. And look, that's what sells in today's climate, right?
Of course.
And that's what we're trying to sell. And I tell a lot of people, that we look at this division that we have, and it's really a tribal type thing.
It is.
Right? And tribalism has been around since the dawn of time, right? There's always been a side in one side or another. Even if you go back, you got the Jews and the Philistines, right? There's always been this tribalism that's there. And then you look like the Protestant church, whenever it separated in England, and it came, once it came over, you've now got all of these Protestant churches, right? There's splits that's happened in them with the different denominations. And it really breaks my heart in a way, because we fail to recognize a lot of times that we're all Americans, right? And we get caught up in these opinions and things that in a coronal mass ejection would not matter.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. Sure.
Right?
The
Because-
grand scheme of things.
That's right.
We get lost down here in the muck. It's all opinionated, and it's kind of been forced, not to say forced on us, but that's how our society and the culture's moved in that direction, right?
It is. And that, I often have to tell myself is that this is not a battle of flesh and blood, but of powers and principalities.
Right.
And that this is the things that, if you believe in angels, you got to believe in demons.
Mm-hmm.
And if you believe in heaven, you got to believe in hell.
Right.
And if you believe in Jesus, you got to believe that there's a Satan.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's wickedness that's working against us
Oh,
in this
yes.
world.
Very, very much so. That's from a former atheist. I mean, there is. Absolutely. So.
And this is something that once again has been since the dawn of time.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that if you look through history, and that's one of the things too, is like they get on to me for talking about history. In the video,
I love history.
In the video, they give me a jog, and like I ran one guy out right from the get-go because I was talking about history. He said, he's like, I'm not here for a history lesson. And he goes out. So, but history, if you don't know history, you're destined to repeat it.
100%.
And you learn from those things. You learn from the people in history. You see the mistakes that they made, and it's easy. Like I tell my children, let me tell you all the mistakes I've made, so that then hopefully you won't make them.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they know ahead of time,
well,
they're prepared.
Think about it this way too. Some of the mistakes that we made as children, as young adults, right?
Right.
Society, just the forward progression of things, like for example, drugs, right?
Right.
The experimentation of drugs gets worse and worse every generation because the drugs get harder and harder, right? So I believe that we're at this point in our culture to where, like, okay, well, some in my father's generation or my generation, you might be able to say get away with an experimentation of something that 20 years ago wasn't as bad, but now will kill you the first time.
Oh,
So,
wow,
you know what I'm saying? Like, we have to pay attention to history because of the progression of things, because we're going into a society where things are so much more at stake. Your life is at stake, you know?
Right. That's right. And there's so many things that's coming in, like we see this with fentanyl.
Yes.
To where drugs are, other drugs are laced with fentanyl.
Oh, yes.
And then you have officers that go into these areas to where fentanyl, they just rush against it or whatever.
And they can get sick and die. Mm-hmm.
Right.
You see my point?
It is yes.
And then it's obvious you're not here for a history lesson. Well, guess what? If you don't pay attention to history and you don't preserve history, they're trying to erase history so they can create a different future. And we're going to lose all of this history that we can learn from. That is a huge thing to me.
That's right, because that history is actually data in consideration for today's time, right?
It is.
And whenever you lose data, and you've got to go back and try to figure out what's going on or how these things can happen.
That's right.
You don't have that information, you can't make an assessment.
I totally agree, man.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, and that's where we are today in our society. If we just kind of just lay down everything and just think about the days of the playground, right?
There you go.
And not see each other as partisan or see each other as someone that's hating on someone else, and just go to it to where, hey, let's have a conversation. There's something that's called Jeffersonian dinners.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought about having some of those to where I invite people like the chairman of the Democrat Party and other people that would have difference of opinions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just so that they can sit and talk and have those conversations.
Right.
And kind of flesh stuff out, in a
Sure. I mean,
in a responsible way, right? I mean,
well, yeah.
and being in a way that's, but I kind of, then I start thinking about this, and it's kind of like a utopia in my thoughts. But then I go to like the realist in me, and I say, yeah, they'd probably be fighting for it and mess up my house or whatever, before they could get out the door, right? So I don't know, but hopefully they would be respectful.
Sure.
But,
I mean, the idea of it is wonderful. Like I've made no bones about this. If you can put a in this day and age a D next to your name running for office, like there's no way that I'm going to vote for you because of look at the two parties, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's where we should be as a society, is be able to sit down in a room at a table and talk,
right?
And talk about things and listen to each other. And right now we're so polarized. It's very, very. Oof, it's hard to imagine that.
And
I get it.
It's our children that will suffer the most.
I
from
know.
This.
And
as we continue to keep our eyes off of the things that are the most important, I mean, whenever you got almost a $36 trillion debt,
oh yeah,
that one day or someday somebody's going to come and collect on, that we continue to go through the mediocre stuff, the small things that really are irrelevant to what's going on.
Yep. We get wrapped up in these little things.
Yes, and that if I that's Paul Harvey did this thing a long time ago about the devil and his plan, right?
Oh yeah, if I were the devil, yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's a great clip. It's been shared all over the place.
And man,
I mean, it hits it to a T.
Right.
Hits it to a T.
And we are so down that road,
That was what 1950. 1950, 1963, somewhere around that area. I mean, like a long time ago. Yeah. Absolutely. Look where we're at.
And it's like this position. The first time that I ran was in 2020. Now I want to clear that record too. So
okay.
So there's some people that one was I believe it was that commissioner that had said. That I ran 2 times and failed miserably, he said. Failed miserably. What's amazing about that is that the first time I ran as not a write-in candidate, right?
I remember that actually.
And the reason
first
that I did
you.
that was not necessarily to win, but to give myself a vote. Look,
sure.
I couldn't vote for the person that was running, which he's running again, which is the past chairman, Stephen Henry. I couldn't vote for him, and I couldn't vote for the Democrat that was running, right? And so I wanted to exercise my right to vote. And so I went and I put myself in the newspaper, and it was the most freeing thing I ever did. It was very simple in comparison to the money that I had to pay to this time, right? And the last time. But it was to give myself that vote. I didn't know that over 600 people, other than I, was going to vote.
Sure,
was
all
going
the
to do
people
that,
on fire
right?
about you. Yeah,
and
I
was
remember
like,
that.
wow. And then this last time, whoa! I mean, it was a knee jerk because Henry had left to go run for the Senate. And
I guess you could say he failed. I wouldn't say miserably, but anyway, go ahead.
Well, and.
I mean, if we're throwing stones here, right? But go ahead.
Well, it wasn't him that said that.
Right,
no.
I know.
Maybe
that was a cheap shot. So
it was
go ahead.
But, I didn't know what was going to happen there.
Right.
So I put my name in the hat because I just didn't know what vacuum was going to cause, right? I didn't know what was coming in.
Sure. I remember that he dropped out to run against Colton Moore. And, and then it kind of, like you said. Okay.
And that was a nonpartisan special election, which cost us, about $25,000 being able to have the other machines. And it was so weird, man, because people would go to the voting booth and they would vote, and then they'd say, "Oh, do you want to vote in the special election? Come over here in the back. Right over here is this other machine, and you can vote on this machine."
Coming back to me now. Yes, there was a lot of, I don't know if gerrymandering is the right word, but there was definitely some shady things going on at some of these precincts. You're absolutely correct.
Well, it wasn't so much shady, okay?
Okay.
I mean,
That's my words,
I think
his.
that we have a wonderful election board in Catoosa County. I think that the people that work for look, Tanya Moore has helped me so many times.
Okay.
Every time that I've went, she has been such a great person to represent the position that she represents in our county in that position. She is awesome. I mean, she is the sweetest person and always the most helpful person. And her staff is great as well.
Gotcha.
So I have to say, I mean, with my experience that I've had with them, it's been great. And probably if you asked any other candidate, they would probably tell you the same thing.
Okay.
But the thing is that she was dictated to by the Secretary of State, right? And that this is what had to happen. And she was up against the gun there towards the end, not knowing until like just a few weeks before the election and being able to do what she needed to do before early voting happened. And so it was wild that a lot of people did not vote in that election because of, what all happened in 2020.
Right.
It didn't seem right for me to go into, especially older people, come into a place to vote and then somebody say, "Oh, now that you voted here, why don't you come to this one over here and vote?" And like, I'm out of here. I've done my one deed. I'm gone, So that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So this is really the first time I've ever ran as a Republican.
Well, like you said.
And have ever ran that has a party on my name,
I understand. I mean, that's some more of this narrative kind of things that people like to run with, and we fight against these narratives. So I appreciate you clearing that up.
But to go back, I did not win the race against a well-known person that has ran many times for many positions in the county government. But I did garner around, over 2,500 votes, which once again was a win for me.
Absolutely.
Because I wanted people to be able to have that freedom to exercise their vote, right?
Well, I mean, I keep hearing this argument all the time about how you need to rally around the person that's got the most money and rally around the person that is the hand-picked by this such as because that's the only chance of winning, and we got to win. And you realize that when you run special campaigns and things like that you're winning even though you might have not won the position, but look at the hearts and minds of people who are waking up and saying, "Hey, we want to change."
Yes.
And like you said, it jumped 600, 2,500. That is a win. Because people are starting to get involved and starting to understand that it's not just the status quo. It's not just that front runner that's got $25 million. It's people of the community that are coming together saying, "Hey, we want to bring the power back to the people." And I think it's those others that despise that. This country club political system that we've had for so long, and you've been told you can't be a part of it. George Carlin said it's a big club and we're not in it.
Right.
And now that the people are suddenly in it and they're taking over positions and they're saying, "Hey, we want it. We want to take this back to the people." Boy, it's making some people uncomfortable, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
But you're winning by doing that.
Well, that's right. I mean, and it's more than just winning an election as it is winning. It's the long game in the sense of that we have our children and our children's children and our grandchildren's children.
There you go.
That we've got to be thinking about, and not about the now, but tomorrow and the day after.
Yes.
And that preparation is what's needed. And tell you, Roy, if you can go to my website, which is
let's pull it up. I was actually going to do that.
Which is Ware for Chair. The number 4. Go Ware, the number 4.
Oh, I see you.
And
I
chair.
got you.
Ware,
Got you.
because it's 4-year term, right?
.com.
Chair.com.
Let's pull that up here and get that graphic on here. All right, let's get this up here in the corner. Whoops. All right. So wareforchair.com, y'all. Check this out. Very simple to get to. We're also going to put a link into the description after the live stream.
And there's up at the top, you've got the platform, the media events.
Okay, let's look at it.
More. And
at the platform
got a
here.
little blog.
Okay.
So that's my 3 planks there: transparency, fiscal responsibility, planning, communication.
Okay. Like it. Let's see. You've got some media and events.
Got a little media video there.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, we'll definitely get this
And
out
then I've
here.
got my blog that's there at the bottom. And this was my press release for qualification in Catoosa County.
Okay. Good deal.
Look, I've been standing up for the people in Catoosa County since 2019.
Mm-hmm.
On the drug rehab center that was there, that was coming in Catoosa County into 4th District.
That's
I think
been bounced around everywhere.
You guys got that one, I think.
Well, we did, but we shut it down as well. Actually, they shut themselves down. They got caught selling drugs illegally, and so that whole thing got shut down. And now there's supposed to some rehab activity going on in the next county over. So, I guess they're just going to lottery pick a county. But, yeah, go ahead.
And so then 2019 stance against the previous chairman for the rights of the people speaking at the commission meetings.
Yes.
In 2021, the education of Catoosa County public on redevelopment powers and defeating the redevelopment powers with a referendum in the county at 83%. With that, I put together a presentation. I went to both parties. I went to the Democrat and Republicans because this was going to affect us all.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that doesn't know, no one was telling us any information. Politicians said that they couldn't talk about it.
Is this the creek?
I don't know about
the dam.
No.
Okay,
That's a different story.
Okay.
That was in 2019 too. But
Okay.
that was for redevelopment powers, and
Okay.
a lot of people don't know about redevelopment powers. It's something that it sneaks in on a county,
Mm-hmm.
and if you vote yes for it, you never get to vote no again. The only one that
Gotcha.
can do away with it is the governor. That's
Gotcha.
it.
I think
And this was something that was developed in 1956 out in California. And they finally shut it down in 2012, bipartisan. They shut it down because California is going bankrupt. When they shut this down, the schools started receiving $1 billion back into their revenue, and the municipality started receiving $500 million.
Yeah. Jeez.
So you've got things like that come across the table of commissioners that they do not go through and look at it, or they got a special interest in it. Because whenever it comes to development and you got a developer on there, it's going to benefit him. Redevelopment powers would have gave the powers to being able to put the sidewalks, the trees, the benches, all this stuff to kind of dress up your project, right? And that's what they were after. That's the thing that a lot of people didn't realize or understand. And how it took away from the school system, and how it took away from the municipalities and the taxes there.
Man.
And then 2023, of course, the rights of property with the chickens.
Okay.
And then 2022, educating the Republican Party with a PowerPoint presentation on how to read and understand the county budget.
Nice.
Because so many people do not know how to read your county budget. And there's people on the bench, in your government that you have elected that does not.
Right.
I can guarantee you.
Got you.
And to be educated, look, and knowing your government is half the battle. G.I.
Gotcha.
Joe, right? The more you know.
Absolutely.
And so, I just ask people throughout this time period, through this election, that if you pray that God reveal truth, and that truth come before us all,
Agreed.
so that we can all see, so that we can, cut away all this stuff that just continues to divide us, and get rid of it, and start focusing on what's important is the future for our families,
Right.
and the families within our communities, and those that are elderly, those that are poor, those that are sick, those are that we have a common interest to be that of community again. Because whenever there's a time that comes and there's an event that happens that's tragic, we really want to be prepared for it.
Agreed.
And that's not the time that we need to be fighting and bickering.
Mhm.
So the more that we are together in this, and Americans, and seeing ourselves in that way, I think the more we're going to be able to accomplish together, and that the more we're going to be able to do for our children in the future, and setting a precedence for that, setting that example, you know?
Well said, man. So I got my 2 questions, and we'll do some comments. So just so we're clear, where do you stand on the Constitution of the United States of America?
I am for it. This is a constitutional republic that uses a democratic process.
I thank you for clearing that video up. Yes, sir.
And it is the most important thing that I think when swearing into it, it trumps anything else, right?
Absolutely. It's the most important document.
Most important.
You have to be sworn to protect it, right?
That's right.
And secondly, how do you feel about the Second Amendment? Do you feel, where are you at on the Second Amendment?
I'm carrying right now.
All right. That's what we need to know. So you're going to fight for the people to protect the citizens' rights, right?
That's right.
Okay. Wonderful, man.
That's right.
All right. So let's go ahead and do some comments. Thanks. We've had a few people sticking with us tonight. Lisa Adams, good to see you as always. She says, I highly recommend watching that video of the town hall. It was excellent. As do I. I plan on watching it myself later on this weekend. So it'd probably be some pretty good stuff in it. So Georgia Patriot, good to see you, sir. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you. Let's see. Georgia Patriot says you can't vote anybody into or out of any position if you don't show up and participate.
Right. That's right.
Amen to that. I think a lot of us are really, really focused on that. So Lisa says, Nick Ware, I hope you get elected, brother. All right.
Thank you, Lisa.
There you go. Georgia Patriot says, most people on social media screaming about my rights have never even read the Georgia Constitution, Article 1, or don't even know the Georgia Constitution has a Bill of Rights. That is certainly true. We do have a Constitution and Bill of Rights in this state.
That's right.
It's important to know these things. It very much is. Al Gonk says, Amen. Thank you, sir. Georgia Patriot, tribalism is always driven by leaders pushing the agenda. The regular people usually have no problem getting along just fine with other tribes. So
Right.
that's true in a lot of ways.
It is.
Georgia Patriot says, and if the devil isn't messing with you, that means he doesn't consider you a threat.
Right.
Whew, ain't that the truth, man? He also says, thank God the mistakes we made as young adults weren't captured on digital video and posted for all to see. Yeah, it's a different world we live in now for sure. You know, people don't even break up fights anymore. They get out their phones and just watch it, you know?
Yeah.
And Al Gonk said he will. Lisa Adams, I've tried conversations. Some don't want to talk. You can't get in touch with more than half of elected folks. So what's your policy on people getting in touch with you?
You can call me or go through my website. It's the easiest way because there's a contact page that's there. Email me.
What if I show up at the office? You gonna let me in?
At what office?
At any office, yeah.
Oh,
if
you
you're
mean
the
if I'm
commissioner.
elected?
That's right.
Okay, if
that's
I'm
right.
elected, yeah, I'll let you in.
You got an open door policy?
Yeah. There's a cover charge, though.
Gotcha.
No.
Lisa's.
Yes, I mean, that's open door policy.
Of course.
And that's one of the things for even that of the, you've got citizens, but then you also got employees that work within the county.
Mm-hmm.
And there's things that happen inside those doors that people don't know that they need to have an open door policy to where they can come to someone that they can trust and being able to have that conversation.
Right on. Lisa says, what was that man's definition of failed? Oh, you're talking about, I think he explained that really. I mean, like we said, it was the rhetoric and the narrative that some of these people are trying to push, and it's just the same old. But Ray Blankenship, good to see you, my brother. It says the other Democrat that was running. Let's see. I'm trying to think back what that comment would be, but Lisa says, but if pants could catch on fire, some folks would need a fire extinguisher. Yeah, true there. Richard Schroeder, good to see you, sir. It says, we will never elect good candidates on these electronic machines that have been proven to be vulnerable and designed to control elections. Our legislators played games yesterday to appease the ignorant public. We're in a mess. Any thoughts on the machines? He's referring to Dominion, voting on the Dominion machines. You have any take on that?
Well, you know that I work in IT, so I can tell you right now that if any machine, device here, this right here is connected to the internet right now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also what's called low Bluetooth, right? So you have a means of connection that's other than being able to connect
like a local
wirelessly.
Connection, right?
Yeah, and
local direct connection.
It's just a like with Bluetooth. I mean, it connects. It's only 35, 55 feet away. 55 is the max. Then you can have that connection. You can have a connectivity. And whenever you're looking at data and the data stream that would happen from that, and it's just small, it's small pieces, small parts that it can connect. And I can't tell you that there's a definitely. I haven't seen something that's like definite, you know, but I can tell you what I have seen that I know that there is a way. And whenever I see people that's hacked them before on the show that you had told me about, you know, and I watched them and I watched this Holderman do what he did. I mean, it is what it is, but what you can do is you can really just be there to poll watch and be part of that piece of trying to do what you can do.
Sure.
And being able to bring about election integrity.
Yeah. Yeah, no more cardboard up on the windows. Yeah,
and I think that the QR code is supposed to be going away in 2 years.
It is. We've got some.
I think.
I'm probably going to reach out to Richard and a few others. We're going to do a multi-stream about these recent bills that have been passed, because he's got a really big point that I can't go into tonight about when he says that have been proven to be vulnerable and designed to control, and it says they played games yesterday to appease the ignorant public. What he? Well,
the games. I don't know what that is.
There were some pretty strong election integrity bills that were brought up that were pre-written that sort of got a few words here and there etched out of it, and what would seem to be like a victory for election integrity was really just an appeasement to try to get people to shut up while still not holding the proper accountability or letting the proper channels go through that these bills were designed to do. So that's my opinion. I have not looked at them yet, but I've read enough over the last 24 hours to really understand that. What do you call that? The emperor has no clothes type situation. So, and we're going to cover that. We're going to get into that. So, and yeah, as Richard says, the QR codes won't go away till 26, and very interesting that some of these bills won't even go into effect until after the primaries in I believe it's 2026. So in other words, they're not even scheduled to go into effect till like July the 1st, I think, of 26.
Oh, till after the
primaries. After the Republican primary. So there's a lot to unpack there, and I don't want to go off into the territory, but we will be covering that. So I missed one. Al Gonk says transparency is the most important to the voters. I think that's really a key point. It is. It needs to be, right?
Yeah, I would agree. There's information that the government has that does not belong to the government. It belongs to the people.
That's right.
And that information, the more transparent you are, the better the relationship that you have with the people, the more trust you have with the people.
Open source, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, because if you impede people from information, then that just makes people, have this distrust, and they start looking at you differently.
Right.
And,
why do people question things?
Because
they don't have the answers.
Yeah.
But if you just simply provide the answers, right, then people won't question anymore. They'll understand. Another thing about voting, I see so much of this about all of this election integrity rhetoric is because Donald Trump lost the election. It could be not farther from the truth, right? All of these things could be fixed if they would answer the questions and go down the paths that people are asking them to go down. But so many times these doors are continually shut. But if we had a transparent system to begin with, nobody would argue whether Donald Trump won or lost. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We've got to get back to it.
And that's, with that video that you showed me or introduced me to, you didn't show it to me. Was it a kill chain?
Kill Chain, the
Yeah.
HBO documentary. So you watched
so
it.
that was 2016.
That was
right?
2016, but they released it 2019, right before the election,
The
2020, and then as soon as that election happened and everything started falling apart, they pulled that thing off. Said, "Don't show this." Why? Because it was a narrative and it was a documentary that a certain party was trying to push to show election fraud in a certain year. They ended up backfiring, and now if you even talk about it or post it, you're in trouble.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. I got a community struck for that for doing an entire episode on it, and if you start posting it around, you're going to get struck for it.
Oh, wow.
And that was years before what we've had, the Halderman report and the trials in Atlanta. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it's crazy stuff.
Well,
so.
I don't usually get into the national stuff or the state stuff too much. I try to stay local.
There you
I
go.
believe that local is where it's at, and if you can have a healthy local government, that would
Agreed.
be what would influence the next county, and the next county, and then the next thing you know, you got
That's
a
right.
whole state that's been influenced by having a healthy government that works great, that works good, works for the people.
Absolutely, man. All right, so we're going to wrap it up here in just a second. I'm going to go ahead and just let you have the floor. I want you to tell people what you want them to hear. What's your message?
My message is that it's time for leadership in our county that works for the people. We've seen a lot of incompetent decisions that's been made throughout the government, and the leadership is what's needed in that to help with those that are in our offices that work for the county that I know and see that have that can be great people. That they can do a great job, but the leadership that they have over them is difficult for them to be able to do what they need to do. It's hard for the people themselves to come to these meetings and have a conversation. None of the commissioners do town halls unless it's like this one that you see on my YouTube page. And there has to be just the leadership that's going to bring those commissioners, no matter who gets in there just needs to be leadership that's going to bring people together, that's going to allow for transparency, that's going to open up the doors for those with the people that work for the county, the people that are living in the county, and looking out for the ones that the elderly and the disabled, that's within our county. I have a heart for people like that. My son's one of them, so that's a big thing in our lives. And the leadership that's needed, as well as looking over, making sure to come through the budget, making sure to have those numbers at hand, and questioning those departments, not in a way of chastisement, but where can we do better? How can we do better? Can we cut this a little bit here? Since 2019, the budget was $28 million, and now it's $42 million. And it continues to climb, continues to rise, and the more that it rises, the more struggle it is on those people that I was talking about that are disabled, that are single, widowed ladies that still have 10-acre farm or whatever, There has to be some dignity in that, and making sure that people are able to live in our county free and not be impeded with their speech. Being able to come to the meetings and have the conversations that's needed whenever they have a question that we can answer. I want to be that person. I want to be that person to help lead our county. I want to be that person that can make a difference, have us prepared for those coronal mass ejections.
Absolutely.
Work with our firefighters, work with our sheriff, school system, bring together that communication with the municipalities of Fort Oglethorpe and Ringgold, and let's really start to work together for the people. A lot of these people know me. I've been to their meetings. I've had discussions with them, and they know me. They know my heart. They know who I am as a person. And a lot of people in the county, look, let's just put all this behind us. Let's work together. Let's get down the road and see what happens. And if elected, I'll stick to my promise I made, which is not to take the $28,000 benefit package every year, saving this county $100,000 over my term of
That's
4
awesome.
years.
That's awesome.
So right off the bat, you're going to be saving with me.
There you go. Hey, the man of his word.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I appreciate you letting me come on the show.
Yeah,
and
man.
inviting me out,
Yes.
rather. Yeah.
Yes.
You wasn't on my radar until you just like hit me up and it's like,
Right.
hey, you know. So
Well, we'd been talking about it for a little while. You know, we were going to do the episode on the chickens, and it never happened. And so, you know,
So
now that you're running, you definitely need the platform. You need
Yeah.
to get your word out. So we thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Everybody, you just heard from Nick Ware, running for Catoosa County Chairman, and his website, I'm going to pull it up one more time, is ware with the number 4chair.com. You can also see information on YouTube and Facebook, c.s.i, which is citizen sharing information. And make sure that you go out and vote in this primary season and let your voice be heard. And we appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thanks.